Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Kiki, the First Lady. Welcome to Kiki's Corner. Today I have a very special guest with me. I call her the Olivia Pope of the Bi-State area, Attorney Venus Harry.
Hi.
How are you?
Doing well.
Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Now, Venus, for the few people here who do not know who you are and what you do, why don't you just tell people you own your own law firm?
I do. Okay. Since 2004. I've been practicing in the areas primarily of criminal and domestic, which is anything that involves the family, and then criminal law from traffic tickets, DWIs, all the way to murders.
Okay. And you are from St. Louis?
I'm born and raised in St. Louis, went to St. Louis University for undergraduate, went to the University of Illinois in Champaign for law school, and then came back home.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. So Venus is a beast. As far as attorneys go, legal-wise, Venus is that deal. She is definitely the Olivia Pope of the Bi-State area. So what we're going to be doing, offering you a chance to email questions to KikiTheFirstLady@gmail.com. That's KIKITHE, the word first, the word lady, and whatever legal advice you need or questions you may have, you get to talk and get legal advice from Venus Harry. So Venus, can you give us just like a little background?
With regard to the practice of law, you know, you get into it and it's like you're not necessarily sure what your calling is, and then when you see and you find out and you help touch people's lives in their most desperate times, that's why you do it, because it's not easy. It's fun when the result is good, but it's not always a good result. Right. But no 2 days of my life in work are ever the same.
I can imagine.
And that is what I love about it.
Okay, so we're going to just touch on something like a hot topic right now with the Sandra Bland situation, yes. The Ferguson situation, yes. All of these different situations involving law enforcement. Can you give our listeners and viewers, yes. 3 tips of what they should do, or maybe 3 tips of what they should not do if they are ever stopped by a police officer? Because you know, you hear all these things where you don't have to show your ID, you don't have to tell them your name, but then you see people getting their windows busted out and hurt or sometimes killed.
Well, the first thing, the backdrop of everything in this situation is the culture of the respect and the relationship between police officers and the general public has definitely changed. When I was in high school, if a police officer questioned you, you said, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, and you acted in an appropriate fashion. I'm not putting blame on either party in this, but that whole culture and dynamic has changed. So if you're getting pulled over, compliance is really the best thing. If you don't feel like you were speeding, that's okay, but still, if you're asked for your license, you're supposed to have your license if you're driving a car. So that is a very fair question. Now, when you're asked things such as get out of your car and there's no foundation for that, my advice to people is not just say, no, I'm not doing it. You always have the right to ask for another officer to come to the scene. Specifically, if it's a woman driver and there's a male officer, you have the right to request that. Now, do they have to do it? Not necessarily, but it's, hey, I'm wanting to be compliant, but at the same time, I'm a little nervous in this situation. Okay. So those are things that you have to let people know, but it is very rare that people get pulled over for absolutely no reason. But the reason that you get pulled over doesn't have to turn into something that's completely horrible, and that is where people start turning on their phones and things of that nature. And I'm not necessarily against that, because it helps me as an attorney on the other side of it, but also I think that we're asking for transparency, and it keeps everyone honest.
Okay, so would you say, like, even if you're feeling disrespected, you know, if they're talking to you crazy, whatever, ease out of that situation, do what you got to do to get out of that situation, and then call an attorney?
Well, I think that there are a couple of different things. One thing in feeling disrespected, that's one thing, but the bottom line is that if I ask you for your license and you give me your license, that pretty much kind of ends our conversation, because I've done what you've asked me to do. I have been pulled over by officers that I didn't really like their tone, but once I gave them my driver's license and my insurance, our conversation was over. I was either going to get a ticket or I was going to get a warning, and that conversation was ending there. Now, I'll be the first person to say that I'm much more confident in that situation than the average person, because this is what I do.
So what do you feel like Like, what's your advice for the, you know, maybe person who's young, African American, dreadlocks, maybe a gold tooth or two, who feels like they've been pulled over because they've been racially profiled?
That's a difficult question to answer because I can't take that person's place in how they feel, what they feel.
Or what should they do?
Again, compliance is key.
You hear that? Compliance.
Because again, compliance, people don't start out being told to get out of their cars. That becomes something that happens a little bit down the way. If I come up and I ask you for your license, and if you don't have it, then compliance say I don't have it. Because again, if you're driving a vehicle, you're supposed to have a license. If you don't, honesty then becomes the next best policy, not deflection and getting angry and saying why or things of that nature. Just, you know what, it's at home. I don't have it with me. So now the officer's either going to write you a ticket for not having your license in your possession. But again, just more deflating the situation, not allowing yourself to get antagonized.
Okay. All right, Venus, thank you for that. Now, like I said, please email any questions you have to Venus at, you can email me, Kiki the First Lady, KIKITHE, the word first, the word lady, @gmail.com. And Venus, you can handle like a plethora, if I said that correctly.
That's correct.
Of questions like divorce.
Yes.
Okay. Traffic tickets, of
yes.
course. Criminal law.
Yes.
Your rights as a citizen.
Yes.
What other questions?
Juvenile, which again, because of the culture change, the people that are being detained are getting younger and younger in age. And there's a whole big situation and push that if the juvenile court system is overhauled like the way that they want to do it, we're going to do away with a lot of it, and now our criminals in the adult system are going to be younger and younger, and that's something that we need to be concerned about.
Okay, so if you have a question, Venus, is it cheaper to keep her? Kiki the First Lady @gmail.com. Venus, how do I get out of this jail cell? Kiki the First Lady @gmail.com. Venus, how do I pay? I got 50 million warrants and I'm scared to go to work. Kiki the First Lady @gmail.com. Kiki's Corner. I will be here with Venus every week and she will answer all of your legal questions. You have access to the bi-state Olivia Pope at your disposal. So email us, Kiki the First Lady @gmail.com. Venus Harry, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll
Nice
see
to
you
be
next
here.
week in Kiki's Corner.